Hello, everyone. So, happy Thursday. I wanted to chat about Spider-Man and his relationships in the MCU. I wanted to break him down a bit with his familial, his platonic, and then his romantic relationships. Because I feel like on every level, the writers failed. They failed to really convey the importance of Peter slash Spider-Man holding these relationships and dynamics with these different people because they do help to shape him into the person he is today and into the hero that he is as Spider-Man day after day, year after year. And it just seemed like the writers, when doing this MCU trilogy, they didn't put that into thought. And I don't understand how, because we as an audience member, I should have an understanding of who Spider-Man is fighting for, who Peter is fighting for, why he puts on the mask every day, why he goes out and does what he does, why he lies to his friends and his aunt about what he does as Spider-Man every single day. I should understand why he does that, because he holds these relationships and dynamics so dear, near and dear. But we don't, because the writers, it wasn't a forethought to actually put effort into establishing these friendships and familial relationships and romantic relationships. It's insane. Like, it was all surface level, all of it. So let's start with the familial. Let's do the elephant in the room, Uncle Ben, or lack thereof. There's no Uncle Ben present at all in the MCU trilogy for Spider-Man. Like with Tom Holland Spider-Man, there's no Uncle Ben. They wanted May to be the Uncle Ben for Peter. And I wouldn't have minded that if Aunt May wasn't such a nothing character. She is nothing. She's like literally not important until they force it upon us. I don't know, the way they treat Uncle Ben, it's really bothersome, because he really is the catalyst for Peter becoming Spider-Man. He really is the catalyst for Peter kind of forming his moral compass. Like, he is the catalyst. And the fact that you don't even reference it, you don't address it outside of No Way Home from other Spider-Men, not Tom's, but the other Spider-Man. Tom Holland never addresses Ben in No Way Home when they have that discussion. He addresses Aunt May. And I'm like, what? You went out of your way to do a reference in Homecoming with Ben Parker's suits. You had the suitcase in Far From Home, but then you treated it like it was a joke and it was a throwaway thing, especially with the suitcase. That actually annoyed me, because in Far From Home, he took Ben Parker's suitcase with him when he went on his school trip. And in the midst of the chaos, it exploded, right? It was destroyed. So he gets back, May finds out, and they just laugh. They just, and they laugh about it. I couldn't believe it. Like, that could have been maybe one of the few pieces of Uncle Ben you had left, right? That could have been something sentimental, could have been a family heirloom. I don't know. We don't know. But obviously it was important, and you just laugh about it? Like, I don't like how Uncle Ben was treated. I don't like that he wasn't mentioned at all when he's so important to Spider-Man and his lore. I don't like that. You want to go a different direction. You want to make Aunt May that figure, fine, because she basically is that. But then you don't even give her a character. You don't even give her anything to do in these movies until the No Way Home. Let's get to Aunt May. Aunt May, like I said, she was a nothing character. Literally, okay. Homecoming I think it was a decent start. You establish, the back and forth that she and Peter have, that parental relationship. She's a little more carefree, but there's a layer of mistrust because Peter's not being honest with her. And she's growing, weary and scared and worried. And she's like, you don't know where the future of their dynamic is going to go because he's not being honest with her about being Spider-Man. I'm like, this is a good start. Maybe this will carry on in Far From Home. And then, at the end of Homecoming, she finds out he's Spider-Man. So you're like, okay, ball's gonna get rolling now. No. Far From Home opens up. She is completely okay. She's completely cool with him being Spider-Man. There's no issue. There's nothing. And I'm like, did we watch the same film? Like, I don't think we watched the same movie. How is Aunt May not pissed and worried out of her mind that her teenage son is out here being a superhero, getting involved with the Avengers? This man went to space and died and came back because Infinity War happened between Homecoming and Far From Home and Endgame, and she's not even like perturbed. She's not worried. She's not freaking out. Your nephew went through so much and it's not even talked about. You're not even concerned. They just give her that dumbass storyline with her suddenly wanting to do charity and being a part of Feast. I believe with my heart of hearts, they took that from the video game. Because I believe the video game came out in 2018 and Far From Home came out in 2018, 2019? They took that storyline from the game when Aunt May was the, head of Feast, the homeless shelter, and they just slapped it in this movie like, it's fine, we'll accept it. No, you cannot do that with a character who has no personality and has never, ever, ever referenced up to this point wanting to help out the community and being a part of Feast. You can't do that. It doesn't work like that. And then in No Way Home, they just go 10 toes in with her being a part of Feast, and it's unearned and came out of nowhere. There was no development. And then her death. I don't know. But I'll be honest, when I saw it in theater for the first time, I kind of chuckled because it was like, Aunt May, move. Like, just get out the way. Like, what are you doing? But it's like her death really isn't as impactful as I think they wanted it to be, because you really didn't put that much focus on her. You really didn't put that much focus on her relationship with Peter and how she feels about him being Spider-Man. Like, you didn't do the work. You didn't do the work. Period. Tony Stark. Peter was just absolutely too reliant and dependent on Tony Stark. And I do not like that he was the mentor, role model, father figure for Peter throughout this trilogy. I absolutely hated it. Number one, in the comics, Peter is not a fan of Tony at all. Like, his hubris, that privilege that Tony Stark holds, he's not a fan of it at all. Especially at the events of Civil War, no. But then it's like, Tony's not a role model. Did we forget the events of Civil War when he manipulated Peter into being a part of the battle when he had no understanding of what was going on? You just said, let's put this kid's life in danger as long as it serves me, Tony Stark. I don't care. You didn't care in Far From Home when you gave Peter your Edith glasses, a decision that was probably made before the events of Infinity War. So I don't know what the fuck Tony was thinking, because Edith is such a powerful piece of technology, has access to so many weapons, but let's give it to the 15-year-old who just experienced a traumatic event in losing his mentor and the overall events of Infinity War and Endgame. I would have loved if in Homecoming they actually referenced the fact that he did manipulate Peter in Civil War. Like, Peter should have been like, why did you do this? Or he should have come to the realization that Tony was only utilizing him for selfish reasons. Like, there should have been a conversation, and especially in Far From Home, there should have been a retrospective look from Peter / Spider-Man. Like, wow, this man who I considered a mentor and a role model, he was really manipulative towards me when I was a kid, and I'm still a kid. And my life is crazier than ever, primarily because of him. I'm thrusted into the Avengers and all of this because of him. I just followed so blindly. Like, why didn't I see this? Like, none of these questions were asked. None of these conversations were had. And then, of course, by having Tony Stark, you aid in removing the element of struggle from Peter. Such an important aspect of his character. It makes him so relatable. It makes him so humble because he doesn't have all that money. He has to fucking use his intelligence to create his webs, to create his costume, like, and none of that is there until the last 10 minutes of No Way Home. It just sucks. So, who's next? Happy Hogan. Unimportant. Surface level, moving on. All right, what's next? The Platonic. These will be quick. They're all one-dimensional. Ned was the best friend. That's it. Their friendship was surface level. The deepest they got was the handshake. And then, of course, in the third movie, they want to give a little something with Ned's family. But again, you're trying to pump 3 movies worth of development. You're going to cram it into one movie. You can't do that. And Tom Holland and Jacob Batalon have such a great friendship outside of the movie and great banter. You see it in interviews. But for some reason, that wasn't incorporated into the script and into the movie itself. I don't understand. But you want to hint at him being Hobgoblin? But you didn't put in the work. And even if you put in the work in the 4th movie and beyond, why did it take you 4+ movies to develop the best friend? Same with MJ. I don't even need to, we're going to talk about her when we do the relationships, right? The romantic ones. Flash. It was just the bully character. If that, I don't know. He didn't really like bully Peter like that. I don't know. And then of course he was a fanboy of Spider-Man and Far From Home. It just, they gave us a little something when his parents didn't come to pick him up, but they never expanded upon that. So why did you even include it? And again, even if you do it down the line, you didn't put in the work. Yeah, I like when Flash has depth. My fondest memory being that of Spider-Man, the new animated series, that episode when Flash became like seriously intelligent, and you really sort of get a clue in on how Flash kind of feels inferior to everyone else because, you know, he doesn't have it up here. He just has the looks, surface level. There's nothing intellectual about Flash, and they explore that relationship in that episode of the show, and I love it, but they don't do that here. They don't do anything with him here, so whatever. Who's next? Betty, non-factor. Moving on. All right, last but not least, romantic. MJ. The fact that the development happened off-screen for this friendship and eventual romance, great indicator of how strong these two are as a couple. Like, Homecoming, Peter didn't even acknowledge her as a friend. They shared like 3 10-second scenes together, and it was clear the attraction was one-sided. Michelle liked him. He didn't like her, certainly not in a romantic manner, let alone being friends. But all of a sudden we get to Far From Home. He's in love with her. He has this huge crush on her.
You didn't put in the work.
You were banking on the real life friendship and relationship that Tom Holland and Zendaya have. But no, ma'am, you can't do that and expect me as an audience member to be like, yep, I'm cool. Yeah, Michelle is barely a character, so I don't even understand how you're trying to put her into a relationship. Then it's like, we don't even see them become friends. When did they become friends? We don't see him discovering that he has feelings for her and then maybe working his way to asking her out on a date. And then in the third movie, we kind of play on that a little bit. And then maybe in a 4th movie, you could have them like full blown in love. You didn't do that. It was just boring. They're boring. They're boring as a couple and underdeveloped. All right, so then there's Liz. Liz I found to be a much more interesting character than Michelle. I just wish they had played on her hatred for Peter. This man single-handedly destroyed her family, made her dad go to prison, made her move. Like, why wasn't she a villain? Someone left a comment, I think on the same video I did about MJ, kind of outlining how Liz could have been a villain. And I agree 100%. Like, if they had shown her, even in the second film, just fucking with Peter out of revenge, that would have been awesome. Because it's like, oh, the chaos, it doesn't just happen when he's Spider-Man. It happens when he's Peter Parker too. Like, and he has to deal with the repercussions of that, you know? And I don't know why they didn't play on that. They touched on it once in No Way Home, in one newspaper article that said he was a liar. That's it. They should have kept her around. I mean, it was a missed opportunity. So, overall, they just dropped the ball, and I hope they do better with this new slate that he's on. But also, it's like, why did it take you this long? You know. But those are my thoughts. What do you think? Let me know. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.